Please don't stand. I never do. Where's my firstborn? Isn't Catherine joining us?
Yes.
Oh, well, just us tonight.
Catherine is quite a dish, Mr.
There's the amazing Jordana Capra as Evelyn Montemar.
You're not funny. No one thinks you're funny.
And Ben Pace as, of course, Johnny.
Is there anything else?
And Mark Tyke as Rivers, the manservant.
He's been my strength since your father disappeared last week. Sweet man. Private investigator, eh? Aren't you good enough to be a police detective?
No, my shoes squeak too much. Ask Rivers.
I don't like a man with a sense of humor. I find it almost as unattractive as a woman with one.
Depends on what she's laughing at.
I rarely laughed before my accident, and less so now. Although I do find it amusing that Jennifer has brought you into our family business. Why?
I would like to help your daughter.
For a fee, I'm sure.
Well, even a Seamus got to eat. Thank you.
There's Molly Fitzgerald. She was helping with production. Very unfortunate story with Molly Fitzgerald. You'll have to look it up on your Google.
Yet you're here too,
Mental health is a very sad thing.
I told Jennifer about the newspaper
when it goes wrong.
Disgraceful behavior, Mr. Drake.
Well, you see how I eat.
This is literally me setting the table with the various suspects and characters that you'll have. I wanted a witty banter over a dinner.
No, as you and your daughter keep pointing out, I'm not that good a detective.
I'm not surprised Jennifer sought you out, Mr. Drake. I'm sure you're the only detective she could recollect for my opinions of your failings regarding that poor girl. Catherine is the reader in this family.
Just because you read accusations...
Catherine, of course, is represented, the other sister, by the empty chair. The mother is waiting for her to come back, and she was clearly the favorite of the mother, Evelyn Montemar. And you see Wilson, who is missing, looming over them in a picture behind Evelyn. Evelyn has a roaring fire behind her as well, and overlooked by Wilson Montemar.
Well, you seem a little more flexible.
I was down on my luck, Johnny. Why don't you take up reading, find out what's going on?
Sadly, the only thing these two ever seem to read are the funny papers and the obituaries.
Mother, I invited Mr. Drake here tonight because I believe that he can do more for us than the police are doing.
Wouldn't it make more sense for you to take whatever you find to the police instead of here to us?
No more sense than slitting my own throat to get some fresh air.
Oh, I do wish Catherine were here. She would know what to do. I've often thought that Catherine took all the refinements from my womb and left precious little for our fascinating Jennifer.
Evelyn, Jennifer brought me here, and I'm willing to do what's necessary to help.
Seems you've done more than necessary as far as the police were concerned. Perhaps without you, that poor girl would still be alive.
The girl's family contacted me when the police appeared to be doing nothing.
Just do it.
I found
By the way, there's a lot of love.
She died. The DA and the police made it easy to hate me, and hard for me to stay out of a permanent address with 3 squares and a cot.
The police are doing everything they can for us.
You can see the dynamic between Rivers being very protective of her, kind of glaring at Roland Drake there.
I am beside myself without my Wilson.
She is literally beside herself, as you will find out later.
All right, I have a certain morbid curiosity. When is the last time you saw your husband?
The last time I saw Wilson.
And we see a flashback within a flashback, which is another noir trope that I love.
What was the guest's name?
When Mr. Montemar has come
Unreliable narrator here, Rivers,
not to notice.
telling us one thing, and visually we see another.
The monogram on his briefcase bore the letters GG.
He did notice.
Only the third visit.
What happened?
He visited for 31 minutes, and as per my instructions, I have no idea about the nature of his business.
As long as Nadia's book is missing, the operation is not safe.
Hyman will never be safer than it is with me.
Well, I'm afraid we must disagree, my friend. Nadia's death could...
I'm sorry to say I didn't see or hear any of their conversation, unfortunately.
You're being coy with me, aren't you, Rivers?
It hadn't occurred to me, no.
The house isn't that big. Someone had to see me.
No.
Rivers.
No, honestly, no.
All right, so nobody saw Wilson or this Gigi leave the house.
I assumed he was delayed with business, so we ate dinner without him, which is normally beyond contemplation. I waited some time for him, and then I had Rivers put me to bed.
And you never followed up, and you never called.
Begin asking some of the logical questions that anyone would have, including the viewer, of why don't you just go to the police? Why don't you do this? Trying to close up some of the narrative and some of the logic, find out why they were. And the cooked goose that Molly Fitzgerald is cutting, and that will come into play later. And I like this banter here between Johnny and Roland. I really enjoyed directing this section.
I spent the entire day with John.
Great.
Yeah, it was great. It was a very good day.
Very great.
And then I came home late, alone, and found out that my father was missing.
See, the triangle continues.
How about I pop you right in the kisser, all right?
He's on her side. Drake is alone with an empty chair next to him where Catherine used to be.
What? She just said it. What? You got something in your ears, pal? You can't hear anything? What do you want me to say? We had a lovely afternoon.
Yeah.
We did things that a fella does with his day.
It was a lovely.
It's-
It was so lovely.
It's not your business, all right? You just.
What'd you see? What'd you do?
I saw a lot of this lovely young lady. Huh? And you better keep your eyes off, pal. I see what you're doing with those eyes. This belongs to me. It's off limits. Huh? You want to ask some more questions? Detective Barry Tate of the Los Angeles Police Department.
And here's the great Vernon Wells from Mad Max, Commando fame, Inner Space,
Interruption there.
as Barry Tate,
Just here to us.
the corruption of the police.
I hope you're here in a non-working capacity.
We're birds of a feather that way, Barry.
I'm here about...
Big fan of him since The Road Warrior. One of the first people I met in LA. I've wanted to work with him for a long time. We're going to be making a lot of movies together, Vernon and I.
We found your father's car abandoned on Hope Street near 6th.
What about my father?
Well, miss, we haven't found him or his belongings yet, but we did find fresh blood in the car, and I figure with that blood that this is becoming less and less a missing persons case.
Interesting.
What is interesting?
Did you figure something out, Barry?
I will allow you to stay in my presence for a moment, but there's something more important here. Finding Wilson Montemar.
I like the little bit of helpful menace that's inside.
Why is that, Drake?
Corruption of power.
Do you care to tell the law something for a change?
Nah, I don't have my fingers in all the pies the way you do.
Well, I am not leaving this place until I have found out.
A lot of fun to
everything
direct
that I
this
need to
film.
know.
It's noir is pure
To
cinema.
help
It's
you.
the look. It's the attitude. It's the language of
Now,
film.
Evelyn, is there something else we should be looking for here?
You don't know what you're asking of me.
I believe you.
I wanted kind of a little Rutger Hauer feel
I
to him.
believe that you are so concerned with getting back what is yours.
You almost feel the uncomfortable gaze of the people at the table on him. It's a little shaky, a little off kilter.
I only know that he's missing and that you found his car.
Wow, it's lucky that I'm here. Give me one reason why I should leave you in this room, Drake.
I like cooked goose. And the company's good.
Maybe Catherine knows.
Drake is a
Maybe I
sarcastic
get to
bastard,
talk to
isn't he?
her first.
That's what I love about hard-boiled characters is they speak very eloquently and sardonically or sarcastically.
Catherine's not here, is she? You didn't try to help her. Like you helped that missing girl, Nadia, did you, Drake? You know, the one that's dead.
No. If anyone's going to help a girl, you're the one to pull the trigger.
Don't mess this one up.
You don't talk with your hands.
Oh, I'm going to be doing more than talking with my hands.
He's present.
Funny last words, Drake.
Detective Tate, I don't.
It's nice that little rapport there, and we start to see the antagonistic relationship.
Thank you very much for all of the information, and please let us know if you discover anything else. Thank you for coming.
He had a tight
I will
grip,
dissuade
trust
your
me.
daughter from having any further contact with Roland Drake. Ma'am,
So would I.
I will be talking to all of you.
Really fun to write the script to this, the banter and the lines out of the character. Jordana, really nice moment there. Some tears, some real tears.
Well, that was delicious.
And of course, Johnny buttons it with, wow, that whole thing was delicious. That was delicious watching that go down. Here I tried something different with perspective, where she includes him in a sort of whispering, very old Hollywood shot with everyone watching, and we're sort of inside of Drake watching what's happening. He feels alienated from them. Great moment from Mark Tyke there, giving him the hat back as Johnny takes off. Now the plot thickens as Roland wants to find out what's really going on with this normal family. Very difficult to get the car and the outdoors in there. And that was one of my favorite stunts I got to do, was climb up on this thing and have a little vertigo moment trying to spy on the family. You can see mirrors behind her. I tried to shoot into the mirrors so you could get multiple angles in one shot. And of course, Drake nosing around as any good private investigator would, sticking his nose in the windows and trying to figure out what's really going on. There's your vertigo shot. Big shout out to Mike Smith, my producing partner and partner in crime on the creative on this. He and I have Luminactus together, production company.
I'm sure you mean guilt where there should be
You can already see Drake there in the window starting to listen in and get at least part of the conversation. That mirthless laugh as he's spying on them.
Mother, I let you berate
Uncomfortable
me and berate
family
me day after
disagreement,
day, night
shall we
after
say?
night, but not tonight. No, you can shut your trap.
You don't dare speak to me that.
Yes, I do.
Again,
I
trying
know
with the
mother
visual
needs
language to
me
show
as
the
a feel
relationship
that I
between the
feel for
characters.
you.
When some characters are above
Rivers,
other characters, there's a
I want you
power
to call Lou
struggle,
McDonald.
the relative
Get him on the
distances,
telephone. Tell him
triangles,
I will pay him whatever he requires of me to get to the
power
bottom of this.
dynamics.
Tell him,
Mother, I already have Mr. Drake.
it should be you.
And there you see Drake in the foreground spying, but then losing his footing, and we pay off our dinner scene.
So, like your goose cooked, eh?
It pains me as a mother that you are
And this
such
wonderfully
a
strange
disappointment.
phone call
And allow me to take away
Rivers
all
makes,
No.
so that everything happens sort of off camera. It's creepy, and I wanted to just kind of go in, literally creeping in on Rivers' face as he talks about what's happening, both in the room and engaging Lou
That's
McDonald.
an unseemly radio play I have on in the background. I should have turned that down. I'm terribly sorry. So, tomorrow morning, bright and early.
Wonderfully creepy
Yes.
shot.
It is a delightful surprise, isn't it?
He's not talking about hiring Lou. He's talking about how delightful the surprise of the violence is. You can see her in the mirror behind, and then Drake was in the window watching. It's always about people and portals, spying and looking, or seeing double personalities, different perspectives. And this is an associative cut here, coming between Laylee, like that, leading into that shot is just really love making that association. Very difficult scene between Vernon Wells and myself. I'm really tied up in that chair, and it's a trust exercise where throwing those punches and grilling me, probably going to kill Drake here in this scene. Really wanted that pulp feeling of being up on a rooftop looking down at the city plunging below, and he's literally now a missing person, completely in control of the corrupt police force.
Of our ventures. I was mad. you to tell me what the book is now. If not, you eventually will beg me.
Again, this was a really intense scene between the two of us. It will again become another flashback within a flashback with a possibly unreliable or reliable narrator, as they are in film noir. He's starting to give him some information that will be very important.
Got a nice view. You got options.
And Mike Smith did an amazing job with the city in this atmosphere that I really wanted to catch. Directing this was a lot of fun. From Drake's point of view, it's dizzy and a little off kilter. From Vernon's point of view, it's very solid, looking down on him, much more stable, which shows the power dynamic visually and sort of subconsciously.
You're right. I ask the questions. You give the answers. If you don't, you are going to... Sir! Turn around, officer. Get back to what you were doing. It's not that, sir. You said you didn't want to be interrupted unless he showed up. He's here.
It's a nice little moment there from Vernon, deciding what he wants to do with Detective Drake. And again, this associative cut, married to violence, comes in to take us to another period, another time, just as the slap did. Now we're seeing Nadia and something out of Drake's past, which reveals why he was being evicted from his life, losing his credibility as a missing persons detective, but also in trouble with the police and the authorities. It's a kidnapping that he thinks he's in control of, but actually he is the entire reason they did it, to frame him.
Get out of there. What are you talking about?
Like the plane back there in the hangar really gives it a sense of period. But, got him with the pencil before John Wick did. I like this little pullback to one of my favorite shots in it, which is Drake deciding he's moving through the warehouse now to race up to the girl and rescue her. Now we see that Tate is in fact behind all of this. We have kind of the vertical aerial shot that's very dreamlike and surreal, because this is happening inside Drake's memory, having been knocked out on the rooftop. We find out what happened to Nadia, and that he was framed. It looked like he accidentally got her shot during the kidnapping rescue attempt. And we have our little vertigo shot that we dial out, and the creepy sort of nightmarish aspect of Nadia gazing at him, waking him up in a storm up on the roof of the police station. He needs to get out of there because when Tate comes back, he will do him in. This was an interesting stunt to do. I had one take, one chair, so I had to make it work. This police station was a great creation. Mike Smith and I both wanted to create something interesting with the rain coming down through the windows and lighting a nearly empty police station in the middle of the night, having a very gothic feel, very expansive feel. It's the Los Angeles police headquarters. The two shadowy figures talk and give us background as to what the police are up to, and we introduce a Russian mobster that we don't see but hear. while Drake is investigating Tate's office and finding out how deep these fingers of corruption go. Any comments? Leave them in the chat here. If you'd like to see more commentary, please leave a note, and I will do more of the film in the very near future right here on the channel. I'm Tom Konkle, the director, co-writer, producer, and star of Trouble Is My Business, and you're watching a little piece of it right now.
I won't stand by this one. My forces are powerful. I find this.
Stay out of it. It's beyond you now.
Nothing is beyond my reach.
Really, police corruption back then, it's one bad cop can really ruin a bunch of really good people, good policemen. In this case, corruption still resonates even now, in that with the sort of power that Tate wields, he thinks he's protecting and serving the people when he's just serving his own interests and writing his own code as far as justice and law. It's his rule of law, and he's put himself above his own code. He's like a Caligula, basically, in Rome. The gunshot silence. Steve Olsen here really plays this scene great, where he realizes none of the other cops are going to do anything about this when he knows he's just killed someone who may have been in custody in Tate's office, or at least being interrogated or met with him, and there will be no repercussions. The way the cops behind him look at his character tells you everything you need to know about the institution. And when it's corrupt and you're the one good person in it, you feel like you're in a nightmare. Here there's a little ambiguity. What's going to happen? They run into each other. And in a gesture, we know that his character is a good man and knows that what's happening is just not right. Steve Olsen did a great job with this important part of the story. And here, of course, we see just how
Matthews.
bold he is.
Another suspect tried to escape. Clean this mess up.
And Carl there doing a fantastic job. Also terrific actor. Ironically, he was the voice of the Russian that got shot.
Still got that book.
Beautiful shot of the city. That's a CG solution mixed with the view from Griffith Park. And into the motel where Nadia, our Russian, in the past, information was more important than things. Even then, as is now, you can't spend a diamond for a sandwich, but with information you can control a city, you control people, you control everything.
Priceless things moving through the deepest arteries of the city unseen, all found new meaning in the diamond as it flawlessly destroyed the Montemar family.
I like that line, flawlessly. The diamond destroyed the Montemar family.
Just an insurance policy anymore.
The stuff in the car is the only stuff that's real time in the story. It's the only thing that's happening in the moment. He pulls up at the beginning of the movie, and the story is told in the car on the way to a cemetery, ironically, symbolizing death. And it's the relationship between these two, telling the story in ever-ending loops of backstory and flashbacks, which is a classic noir doomed man narrative structure. Of course, we're back at Drake's apartment. He knew not to go back there. The cops go to see if they can find something. They're actually surprised to find the blood, but Tate sees it as an opportunity to finally tie up a loose end with Roland Drake.
Tate, one no-points bullet put out on Roland Drake.
That's the window from the love scene at the beginning.
I found blood. I'll come up with something.
And here, great sort of operatic moment where Jennifer Montemar is sleeping in her room, but Tate has climbed back up into the house, and we're not quite sure. He's pretty pissed off having been beat up by the police. We're not sure where he stands with her. He's really deciding how he feels about her. And in that moment, she is thinking in her dream about how she ended up back at Drake's office at the beginning of the film. So the story is starting to weave back together, and we're learning more of the backstory. With films I like to make, the story happens inside the characters. The plot is what happens as we move things around. And if you have everything sort of crescendoing together, you get a really interesting mix as we learn more about the characters. Things that they've done have new meaning as we learn this character was the character whose throat was slit at the beginning, and she claimed not to know him.
Wilson seems to be
Interesting scene, shot in a period car, correct period car with other period cars passing. It's an alleyway somewhere in Pasadena. Everything is a visual effect, but it worked together beautifully, I thought, here. And he is properly menacing. I wanted it to feel very uncomfortable and very much like she's pinned in the scene.
Are we driving someplace?
even with you, Guy, doesn't mean that you and I can't be in bed together. We've always been close, Jennifer.
Never with my consent.
Now we see just how twisted this family is, and that she definitely knows more than she's telling Drake. He did a terrific job there as that character. We rehearsed that like we would, rehearse a play or a scene, and then I had it play out in the car a few times and found my shots. Did a terrific job here, and just now we learn why a dying assassin was after her as she runs now to go meet with Drake for the first time. And the web continues to be spun around him.
What happened to you?
So after dinner, I was peeking in your mom's bed.
And?
I fell. Tate caught me. I wish I hit the ground.
And I like the lighting in this, very silky moonlight feeling. We see them start to get close. He lets his guard down, literally. She tries to heal the wounds that he carries with him. And in this moment, we realize that they are now on the same side, and Drake is not thinking very clearly.
So what are we going to do about John?
If you want to know more, check out Trouble Is My Business. I'll be doing some more quick clip commentaries on this in the near future. Thanks for watching Trouble Is My Business. I'm Tom Konkle.